The horizon burns every evening now. It isn't a sunset. It's the residue of 1,000 fires, a mixture of ash, smoke, and chemical haze that paints the sky in colors the old world never knew. Oranges too harsh to be beautiful, reds too deep to be natural. Sometimes it looks like the whole earth is bleeding. The air tastes of it, sharp, acrid, burning the throat with every breath. The land itself is unrecognizable. Where rivers once ran, there are only scars of cracked earth, long fissures snaking across the ground like veins drained dry. Bridges still stand, but they cross over nothing now, spanning emptiness. Monuments to a time when water meant life instead of memory. Fields that once fed millions are nothing but brittle husks, stalks collapsing into dust at the lightest touch. Forests, or what's left of them, are skeletal, charred ribs of trees rising out of the soil, blackened fingers scratching at the sky. Cities fared no better. The concrete giants of civilization are hollowed shells, glass blown out, steel skeletons warped from heat. The once bustling streets are rivers of sand and ash, where the wind scours away the last signs of human order. Billboards, once screaming promises of joy, are faded into ghostly whispers, their edges curled by fire. Playgrounds rust in silence. Stadiums are graves for dust. Airports are filled with the carcasses of planes that will never fly again. Their wings snapped like the bones of some fallen bird. The government, if you can even use that word anymore, collapsed years ago. There are no more speeches, no more laws, no more illusions of control. The last emergency broadcast sputtered out, swallowed by static. What remains are fragments of authority, splintered groups who claim power where they can enforce it, scavenger bands, self-proclaimed militias, fractured factions of once proud armies. Some hoard the last resources, guarding them with guns and cruelty. Others roam like wolves, taking what they want and leaving nothing behind but corpses and smoke. Yet not everyone has turned predator. Survivors still cling together, forming fragile communities in places the fire hasn't yet consumed. In abandoned basements, underground parking garages, or half-collapsed subway stations, people gather around generators and makeshift radios, trying to pretend there's still something left of humanity worth salvaging. Children grow up in the dark, learning to measure time not by clocks, but by how long the fuel lasts. The air is another enemy. Heat shimmers even at night, thick with particulates that choke the lungs. Breathing feels like swallowing cinders. Rain, when it comes, is no blessing. It's acid, leaving burns on skin, peeling paint off walls, eating holes in what little clothing we still have. Umbrellas were useless years ago. Now survival means knowing when to run for cover, when to trust the sound of thunder, and when to fear it. Wildlife is nearly gone. The skies, once alive with birdsong, are silent. Insects survived longer than most, but even they have thinned. Once in a while, you see movement in the distance. Feral dogs, desperate and skeletal, picking through what remains. Some survivors speak of mutated creatures, warped by toxins and heat. Whether those are true or just fear-talking, I can't say. I've learned not to chase shadows. Every journey across this land is dangerous. The ground itself is unstable, cracked and shifting from droughts, then collapsing when sudden flash floods rip through like knives. Storms rise without warning, walls of dust blotting out the sun, winds strong enough to peel roofs off the few buildings still standing. Wildfires run unchecked, leaping across miles in a heartbeat, swallowing entire neighborhoods before anyone can escape. The horizon isn't just fire, it's a warning. Always a warning. As for what might come next, no one knows. That's the worst part. The heat keeps rising. Some whisper the oceans are boiling, that coastlines have vanished beneath waves of steam and salt. Others insist there are places untouched, green sanctuaries hidden away, where water still flows and the air is cool. People cling to these stories because hope is rarer than food. But hope can be dangerous too. Hope can get you killed if you chase the wrong mirage. I remember the world before, or at least I think I do. Memories come in flashes. Blue skies, laughter echoing in streets, the smell of rain that didn't burn. But sometimes I wonder if those are real, or if my mind invented them just to keep me from going mad. Because standing here now, staring at this burning horizon, it feels impossible that the world was ever anything else. This is what remains. A land gutted by fire, scorched by our own hands and left to unravel. There are no nations anymore, no borders, no maps, just patches of survival and oceans of ruin. And through it all, the radio carries voices, thin, fragile, but alive, Proof that not everyone has gone silent. Proof that even when the world is unrecognizable, we're still here. And as long as we're still here, there's something worth holding on to, even if it's just one more day. My name doesn't matter anymore. Names belong to the old world. Business cards, ID badges, signatures scrawled on paper that has long since burned or rotted away. Here, in what remains, names are more fragile than food. People hold on to them until hunger or fire takes them. And then the name goes too. But if you need something to hold on to, if a voice without a name feels like a ghost, you can call me Harrington. That's what's left of me, like the echo of a man I once was. Before the world caught fire, I was nothing special. A technician, really. Someone who kept wires humming, signals moving, towers upright. I spent my days making sure voices carried across distances. Funny how that skill became my lifeline after everything else collapsed. Back then, I thought of radio as background noise. Now it's the only thread keeping me tied to humanity. I live in what used to be a relay station on the edge of a forgotten highway. The building is half collapsed, one wall open to the elements, but the basement is intact. Down there, I've managed to cobble together enough equipment to keep a signal alive. A rusted transmitter, scavenged batteries, an old pedal generator that I ride like a bicycle until my thighs scream. Every broadcast is a fight against silence, but silence is worse. Silence means I'm alone, truly alone. Survival here is not glamorous. There are no heroic tales, no cinematic triumphs, just days strung together by the stubborn act of enduring. I ration water down to the last drop, siphoned from rooftop barrels or dug from the mud of collapsed wells. I scavenge what food I can, cans swollen with rust, bags of grain hidden in the ruins of supermarkets, the occasional rabbit foolish enough to cross my path. Cooking is rare, smoke draws attention, and attention is dangerous. Most of the time, I eat cold beans with a knife, staring into the dark and pretending it tastes like more than survival. What drives me? That's the question I ask myself every morning when I wake to the hum of the generator or the shriek of the wind scraping across the station's exposed beams. Some days, I think it's habit. Survive because I survived yesterday. Endure because the body refuses to quit. Other days, I tell myself it's hope. Fragile, flickering like the glow of a dying bulb, but still light in the dark. Maybe I broadcast because I want someone, anyone to hear me. Maybe I need to believe there's another voice out there, listening, breathing, fighting, that the end of the world didn't erase us all. There was a time I didn't do this alone. My wife Claire sat beside me during the early days. She had a laugh that carried even in the static, a warmth that reminded me the world hadn't fully died. She used to read stories into the microphone, fairy tales for children who might have still been out there, clutching radios in basements. For a while, that kept us sane. Then came the fever. The heat claimed her the way it's claimed millions, burning her from the inside until her voice cracked, then silenced forever. I buried her under the skeleton of a maple tree that hadn't yet turned to ash. I still talk to that grave sometimes, though I know the earth can't answer back. My son, I don't know where he is. He was 20 when the fires spread, old enough to make his own choices, young enough to think he was immortal. He joined a caravan heading north, chasing rumors of water, of sanctuary. I never saw him again. Sometimes, when the radio hisses and crackles, I imagine his voice breaking through, calling for me. But it never is, just static, always static. Loss is a constant here. You don't get used to it, but you learn to carry it, like a stone in your pocket that never gets lighter. Some nights I dream of the old world. Not the buildings or the machines, but the small things. The weight of a paperback book in my hands. The taste of cold lemonade on a summer porch, the sound of traffic in the distance, horns and engines blending into a kind of urban lullaby. Those things seem like luxuries now, treasures more valuable than gold. You don't realize how much life was made of little moments until they're all stripped away. Still, I keep going. Maybe it's duty. Maybe it's defiance. I pedal the generator until my legs shake. I press the microphone button and I speak into the void. I tell stories. I describe the sky. I warn about raiders or storms. Sometimes I read from the old books I salvaged, their pages yellowed and brittle. Other times I just talk about Claire, about the maple tree, about the silence. It doesn't matter if no one is listening. It matters that the words exist, that the silence isn't total. And yet sometimes I get an answer, a faint voice, broken by distance and static, but real. I've heard fragments. Someone in the mountains, someone by the coast. Someone who swore they found a place where crops still grow. I don't know if they were real or just illusions created by the storm-battered signals, but even a whisper is enough. It reminds me the horizon may be fire, But beyond it, there might still be life. I've seen the worst of humanity too. Bands of raiders who circle like vultures, scavenging not just for supplies but for cruelty. They hunt people, strip them of dignity as easily as they strip them of food. Once they came for me. I held them off with an old rifle, my hands shaking, my aim more luck than skill. Afterward, I was sick for days. Not from their attack, but from the realization that I had killed. That survival made me something I never wanted to be. But survival doesn't ask for permission. It doesn't care what you want. It only demands that you endure. And so I do. Day after day, broadcast after broadcast. The pedal hums, the static hisses, my voice carries. If you are out there, if you can hear me, know this. I'm still alive. I've seen everything fall apart. I've buried the ones I loved. I've walked through ash and hunger and silence so deep it felt like drowning. But I'm still here. And if I can survive one more day, so can you. This is who I am now. Not a name, not a title, not the man I once was. I'm a voice in the static, a shadow against the fire. I'm Harrington, and as long as my generator holds, as long as my breath lasts, you will not be alone in this ruined world. The Missouri River is gone. That's how I'll begin tonight's broadcast. Gone. Not dried to a trickle, not choked with algae, not shrunk to some miserable shadow of itself. Gone. What's left of it is a scar in the earth, a gash miles wide, lined with cracked mud that crunches underfoot like brittle glass. The fish, the barges, the water that once carved through the land like a living artery, it's all vanished. And with it, so has the lifeblood of the people who once depended on it. For 3 years now, the skies have held back. Not a drop of rain worth mentioning has fallen. A drizzle here or there, just enough to tease the earth, to dampen the topsoil before the sun bakes it back into dust. I remember when the weather used to change, when you could wake to fog or rain or snow. Now the sky is only one thing, an endless blinding furnace. The horizon wavers with heat. The clouds, when they appear, dissolve into nothing before they can offer relief. Drought. That's the word we used to use, back when the world was still capable of recovery. But this isn't drought anymore. This is death. The land isn't sleeping, waiting for the rains to return. It's dead, and it's not coming back. And every day it gets harder to survive. I ration my water carefully, a cup in the morning, another at night, measured like medicine. My lips crack, my tongue sticks to the roof of my mouth, and still I force myself to drink sparingly. I've become an expert at catching condensation. Plastic sheets stretched over pits, bottles angled just right to trap dew in the early hours. It's never enough. My muscles cramp, my vision blurs, my head pounds with dehydration, and I'm one of the lucky ones. People kill for water now. I've seen it with my own eyes. A rusted canteen can be worth more than gold, more than bullets, more than a man's life. Just last week, I ran into a small group near the ruins of a gas station. 3 men and a woman, their faces gaunt, their eyes hollow. They carried rifles but no packs, which meant they weren't scavengers. They were hunters, not of animals, not of food, of people like me. I knew what they wanted before they even spoke. My canteen was visible on my belt, and they circled me like wolves around a wounded deer. I managed to talk my way out, or maybe they decided I wasn't worth the bullets. Either way, I walked away shaking, the taste of fear sour on my tongue. Encounters like that are becoming more common. As resources shrink, desperation grows, and desperation makes monsters out of ordinary men. The environment itself is no kinder. The temperature swings are brutal, searing heat during the day, followed by bone-deep cold when the sun sinks. The lack of water has stripped the land of its protection. Without moisture in the soil or the air, the heat builds unchecked, then vanishes as soon as the sun drops, leaving us shivering under brittle stars. I've lost count of how many nights I've lain awake, wrapped in every scrap of cloth I own, teeth chattering, only to rise in the morning to blistering heat that burns through my shirt. Wildfires are constant. The earth is so dry that the smallest spark, lightning, a gunshot, even sunlight refracted through a shard of glass, can ignite an inferno. Once it starts, it spreads fast, leaping across fields, climbing through forests, consuming everything. I've outrun 2 fires in the past year. The smoke choked my lungs, turned the sun into a red eye glaring down from the haze, and left the ground behind me black and lifeless. Some nights I climb onto the roof of the relay station and stare at the horizon. The fires burn far away, but the glow stains the sky. It looks like the edge of the world is always aflame. That's why I chose tonight's title, While the Horizon Catches Fire. It's not a metaphor anymore. It's truth. I've tried to understand it, to make sense of what's happening in terms I once trusted. Back when science was still an answer, not just another echo. Global temperatures have risen by nearly 5 degrees Celsius in less than a century. That doesn't sound like much when you say it quickly, but it's catastrophic. It means heat domes locking over entire regions, air so dry it leaches the life out of plants before they can grow, soil that fractures instead of absorbing rain. It means rivers vanishing, aquifers collapsing, the cycle of renewal broken beyond repair. The atmosphere itself has changed. With fewer trees and wetlands to absorb carbon, greenhouse gases keep climbing. Every fire pumps more into the sky, feeding the furnace. It's a loop, a noose tightening around the planet's neck. And even if tomorrow the skies opened and rain poured for weeks, it wouldn't save us. The soil is too degraded. It would wash away in floods, stripping the last fertility from the earth. We've tipped past the point of balance. Every day I feel that weight pressing closer. The generator's fuel is dwindling. I siphon what I can from abandoned cars, but most tanks have been dry for years. The pedal system keeps me alive, but it can't power the transmitter at full strength. My voice doesn't carry as far as it once did. The range shrinks with every broadcast, and I wonder how many people I've lost to silence. Food is no better. Cans run out. Scavenging yields less and less. Hunting is nearly impossible. Animals are rare, and most are too dangerous to eat, their bodies filled with toxins from the poisoned earth. I've grown thin, ribs pressing through skin, muscle wasting away. Some days just pedaling the generator feels like climbing a mountain, and yet, survival is stubborn, it clings. It whispers that tomorrow might be different, that maybe there's still a chance. I've heard rumors, always rumors. A community up north where underground reservoirs still hold water. A group of scientists who found a way to pull moisture from the air, enough to irrigate small gardens. A settlement in the mountains that's hidden from raiders, where children still laugh. I don't know if any of it's true. Maybe they're mirages, lies told by desperate people trying to keep hope alive. But I can't ignore them, because the alternative is despair. And despair is death. So I broadcast. I tell my story, I describe the skies, I warn of dangers. Sometimes I give advice. How to build a solar still from plastic and metal. How to check for poisoned water. How to stretch a can of beans into 2 meals. Practical knowledge, scraps of survival wisdom passed through static. If one person hears me, if one life is extended another day because of it, then it matters. But tonight, as I sit here with the generator humming beneath my feet, the air outside heavy with the smell of distant fire, I can't shake the truth pressing in from all sides. The drought isn't easing. The rivers aren't coming back. The soil isn't healing. We are not waiting out a bad season. We are watching the end of the cycle that once sustained us. The horizon is burning, and soon, the fire will be here. The radio crackles as I adjust the dial, though there's no one else left on these frequencies. Just me, a voice scraping against the static. Maybe someone's listening. Maybe they're not. Maybe I'm just talking to ghosts. But either way, I keep speaking because silence is worse. Silence means you're already gone. The dust is thicker tonight. It hangs in the air like a second skin, coating my lungs, clinging to the sweat on my face. I'd trade almost anything for a single gulp of clean air, the kind I remember from long ago. But nostalgia's poison in times like these. Thinking about what once was doesn't put water in your canteen, doesn't put food in your belly. Still, I can't help but remember. The shelves are nearly bare. Not just mine, the whole blasted region. What's left to scavenge has already been picked clean by desperate hands. Cans of beans, bags of rice, even those little packets of soy sauce people used to throw away without a thought. Gone. Every calorie has become a war. Every sip of water is a prayer, and the raiders know it.
They came through 2 nights ago. Just shadows against the firelight horizon. 5 of them, maybe 6. Hard to tell when they move fast and carry rusted blades and stolen guns. I heard the whistle of their boots on the broken pavement, their laughter sharp as glass. They didn't come for me, not yet. They were after a family trying to hole up 3 streets over. I heard the screams. I didn't go. You want honesty? That's honesty. I stayed put. I told myself it was too dangerous, that I couldn't risk the broadcast, that one voice on the radio might matter more than one more body in the dirt. But the truth? I was afraid. Fear is the only thing louder than hunger these days. Still, it gnaws at me. I keep replaying it in my head, the sound of a little girl calling out for help, cut off by silence. Survival takes pieces of you. You shed them like a snake sheds skin, but when you look back, you realize you're not the same person anymore. You're something else. Something harder, maybe. Something emptier, too. And the storm isn't making it easier. They call them dust cyclones, but that name doesn't capture the terror. Imagine a wall of earth itself rising into the sky. A twisting serpent of dirt and grit that devours everything in its path. They're more common now, forming out of nowhere when the heat boils the air and the ground coughs up its own skin. One's been circling the outskirts of the city for days now, waiting like a predator. Every time I step outside to check the traps or fetch water from the cracked pipes, I feel its pull, the way the wind tugs at my clothes, like it wants to drag me into its maw. Food, raiders, storms. You'd think that would be enough to crush what's left of a man, but it's not just survival that haunts me, it's the whispers. The rumor started with a traveler, one of those drifters who pass through and leave you with nothing but questions. He spoke of a place north of here, past the scorched valleys and the dead forests, a place where water still runs, where crops somehow grow, where people live together instead of tearing each other apart. He said they have a filtration system, something powered by solar rigs scavenged from the old world. He said it's real, but we've heard this all before, haven't we? I've walked to the edge of hope too many times only to find it crumbling beneath my feet. Survivors cling to myths like vines clinging to dead trees. They want to believe there's something out there, something better than this. And every time it turns out to be a lie, or worse, a trap. Raiders set bait, tell stories of water and food, then slit your throat when you show up desperate. Still, something about this rumor won't leave me. It presses at the edges of my thoughts when I try to sleep. It slips into the cracks of my heart when I tell myself I'm done believing. What if just once it's true? But the road north is long and I don't know if I have the strength to walk it. My rations could barely last a week. My radio rig is portable but heavy, and if I leave, I risk losing this fragile thread that ties me to anyone still alive out there. The broadcast is all I have left. It's my confession booth, my anchor, my attempt at keeping the world from dissolving completely. Yet sometimes, when the night is quiet and the wind dies down, I wonder if I'm clinging to static when I should be chasing water. The truth is, survival is becoming harder every single day. The aquifers are drying. Wells that once produced trickles now cough up mud. The air itself feels hostile. So dry it splits your lips, so hot it feels like you're breathing fire. Crops can't grow. Not without irrigation, not without rain. And the rain hasn't come for years. The scientists used to talk about mega droughts, about shifting climate zones. I remember those words. They were warnings. They were dismissed. Now they're sentences carved into the bones of the earth. The rivers are gone. The soil has turned to powder. And the temperature swings, it isn't just the heat. Nights plunge into bitter cold, the kind that cracks cement and stiffens blood. Without steady weather, without predictability, life can't find purchase. Even the animals are vanishing. No more birds, no more deer. Just rats, scavengers like us picking at the scraps. Sometimes I wonder if humanity was always destined for this. We burn too hot, too fast, and now the fire is devouring us. I keep telling myself I'll endure. That if I just hold on a little longer, something will change. Maybe the dust storm will shift course. Maybe the raiders will move on. Maybe the rumor to the north will turn out to be more than smoke. But hope is a dangerous thing. It keeps you alive, but it also gets you killed. And so I sit here, microphone crackling, voice worn thin, telling you all of this. Because if you're out there, you need to know the truth. The crisis isn't coming. It's already here, and it's tightening around us like a noose. Tomorrow I'll decide. Do I stay here broadcasting into the void, clinging to scraps of survival, or do I pack what little I have left and head north, chasing a mirage that might kill me or save me? The storm outside is growing louder. I can hear the wind clawing at the windows, rattling the frame like a beast in a cage. Maybe it's a sign. Maybe it's a warning. Either way, I'll keep speaking until the static swallows me whole. Because if there's one thing worse than dying in this broken world, it's being forgotten by it. The storm arrived like a beast that had been circling for weeks, waiting for the right moment to pounce. I'd felt it building in the air, static crackling across my skin, the horizon darkening with a weight heavier than nightfall. I'd seen dust cyclones before, but this was different. This wasn't a storm. This was the earth itself rising to erase what was left of us. I'm speaking faster now, voice trembling in the microphone because I don't know how much longer the signal will hold. The generator's low on fuel, the static is thick, and every gust rattles the boards I nailed across the windows. The world outside is turning red, then black, then nothing at all. I've heard stories about storms like this. Dust walls so high they blot out the sun. Winds so sharp they strip paint from steel. Storms that last for days, weeks even. They say when the dust settles, nothing living remains, and tonight it's at my door. I should have left days ago. Packed the rig, strapped on the pack, and followed the rumor north. Maybe I'd have found water. Maybe I'd have found nothing. But staying here? It feels like I chose my grave. The air inside is already hazy, dust slipping through cracks no matter how tightly I've sealed them. My throat burns. Every breath tastes like ash. My hands shake as I check the dials on the transmitter, trying to squeeze out one more broadcast before the storm takes me. Because if this is it, if this is the end, I want my voice carried on the wind, even if no one's left to hear it. Tonight, I say into the mic, the storm has come. I pause, listening to the howl outside. It's not just noise, it's a chorus, thousands of voices shrieking as if the earth itself is screaming. I used to think I was surviving. I continue coughing through grit, that if I rationed, scavenged, stayed hidden, I could wait this out. But you can't wait out the end of the world. It doesn't get better. It just keeps coming. The roof groans. Nails scream against the force. Dust presses against the walls like a tide, and that's when it hits me. This isn't just about me anymore. It never was. The broadcast, this fragile string of words cast into silence, wasn't just my lifeline. It was a record, a story, proof that we lived, that we mattered, that we didn't just vanish into the dirt without leaving a mark. And if there are survivors out there, scattered, hiding, praying, they deserve to know there's someone else who remembers. The power flickers. The hum of the generator dips low. Panic claws at me. If the power dies, so does the broadcast. And if the broadcast dies, then my voice dies with it. I make the choice. The one I've been avoiding for weeks. I can't stay here. Not in this coffin of dust and static. I grab the pack I've kept half ready. The canteen that sloshes with the last of my water. The transmitter strapped into its battered case. My hands linger on the table where I've spent countless nights speaking into the void. Then I rip the mic cord free. The storm slams against the door as I shove it open. The world outside is unrecognizable. It's not sky, not earth. Just a churning wall of brown and red swallowing everything. My goggles fog with grit. My scarf does little to keep the dust from my mouth. I stumble forward, half blind, clutching the transmitter like it's the last piece of myself. Every step feels like a gamble. The wind claws at me, dragging me sideways, pushing me into rubble. I trip over a rusted signpost, the letters half buried, unreadable. Landmarks are gone, streets erased. It's as if the storm is rewriting the city into nothingness. But through the chaos, a thought burns in my mind. North. If the rumors are true, if there's even a chance, this is the only moment. Stay and I suffocate. Move and I might live. My legs burn. My lungs scream. Every breath feels like swallowing glass. I can't see more than a few feet. Can't tell if I'm walking in circles. Fear whispers, maybe there is no north. Maybe the storm is endless and I'll wander until I collapse. But then through the howl I hear something else. A voice, faint, fractured, carried on another frequency. If anyone out there, keep moving.
My heart stutters. The radio strapped to my chest crackles, faint but real. It isn't my own broadcast. It's someone else. I stop dead in the storm, listening, desperate. North sector. Filtration. Survivors. The words are torn apart by static, swallowed by the storm. But they're enough. Enough to tell me I'm not alone. Enough to tell me the rumor isn't just a rumor. There is someone out there, broadcasting like me. And they've found water. I scream into the wind, my voice ripped raw. I hear you, but the storm doesn't care. It swallows my words whole. Still, the decision is made. The turning point is here. I will not die in silence. I will not let the world erase me. I will chase that signal, even if it's the last thing I do. The dust presses closer. The ground vanishes beneath shifting waves. But my feet keep moving. One step, then another. Each step a promise. Each step a refusal to give in. And as the storm roars around me, as the city I once knew crumbles into dust, I feel something I haven't felt in years. Not safety, not certainty, but direction. When the storm finally breaks, it doesn't leave silence. It leaves a kind of ringing, like the whole world is vibrating, as if the dust and wind carved their own echo into the bones of the earth. I don't know how many hours I walked inside it. I don't even know how many times I fell. Dust cakes my skin, fills my ears, grinds against my teeth like sandpaper. My water is almost gone. The transmitter still hums faintly against my chest, battered but alive. And me, I'm still here. The horizon is unrecognizable. What once were streets are now dunes of shifting grit. Entire blocks have been buried. Skeletons of buildings jut out like broken teeth. Their windows hollow, their steel frames bowed. The old city is gone, wiped from the map. I thought I knew how bad it could get. I thought I'd seen the worst. But this? This is the storm's way of saying, you haven't seen anything yet. The government is long gone. The people who used to wear uniforms, who used to speak with authority, vanished, scattered, reduced to ash and rumor. I remember when they promised relief camps, when they spoke of rationing and rebuilding, but their words dissolved faster than the water we prayed for. And now, all that's left are scavengers, raiders, drifters like me, those who cling to survival not because it's noble, but because instinct won't let them quit. The storm killed more of them tonight. I know it. Somewhere beyond this veil of dust, people clung to rusting cars, broken doorways, anything that would keep them grounded. And when the storm tore through, it didn't care about hope or strength. It just erased, and yet I'm still breathing. I stop for a moment and stare at what's left of the riverbed. It's nothing but a scar now, a trench carved deep into the land, filled with sand where water once flowed. My father used to fish here. I remember him holding a line steady, squinting at the ripples, waiting for the tug. I can still hear the laughter of children splashing at the edges, chasing minnows. Now it's dry as bone, dust whispering where water used to sing. It should break me, standing here. It should hollow me out until there's nothing left. But instead, I feel something strange, a kind of resolve. Because before the storm hit, I heard them. That faint signal, cut through static, carried on a wave the storm couldn't swallow. Survivors, speaking of water filtration, of the north, of something beyond this endless collapse. I could have sworn it was a hallucination at first. Another trick my brain played on me in the chaos. But the words, they were too sharp, too real. And if there's even a chance it wasn't just in my head, then it means there's something out there worth walking toward. Hope. Fragile, dangerous, but alive. I keep moving. The air is thinner now, though every gust still kicks grit into my lungs. My scarf is in tatters. My boots leak dust through seams I can't repair. My legs ache from miles that may or may not be in the right direction. But still, I move. The world hasn't healed. If anything, it's dying faster. Trees lie snapped like matchsticks, their roots exposed. Fields are blackened where fire kissed the land before the dust swallowed it. The sky shifts between shades of red and grey, never blue, never soft. Birds are gone, insects too. The hum of life has been replaced by the moan of wind across wreckage, and yet in this ruin, I feel something stirring in myself. I used to broadcast because I was afraid of silence, afraid of disappearing without proof, afraid of being the last voice trapped in static. But tonight, after the storm, after that faint signal, it's different. Now I broadcast because someone might hear, because there's a chance those words aren't just cast into a void. I stop on the ridge of what used to be an overpass. The concrete cracked and crumbling under my weight. From here, I can see farther than I have in months. The storm carved the land open, reshaping the ruins into dunes and canyons. It's alien, it's terrifying, and yet, it feels like a path. I set the transmitter down, fumbling with stiff fingers, and power it up. Static floods my ears. For a long moment, that's all there is. Just white noise, a hiss that mocks me, then faintly. North, survivors, keep moving. My throat tightens. My heart slams against my ribs. It's real. It's not a dream. I key the mic, my voice raw. This is Miles Harrington. If you can hear me, I'm alive. I'm moving north. Keep talking. Please, keep talking. The static swallows my words. No reply. Not yet, but I don't feel alone anymore. The dust clears slowly over the hours, settling into cracks and corners. What it leaves behind isn't beauty. It's ruin stacked on ruin. But there's something about seeing the ground again, seeing the shape of the land, that fills me with a strange gratitude. It's as if the world is whispering, I'm not gone yet, and maybe neither am I. I shoulder my pack, pick up the transmitter, and start walking again. Every step is heavier now, but also more certain. The north is far, maybe impossibly far. I don't know what waits there. It could be another lie. It could be death waiting in a different form. But I've learned something in the storm's wake. Survival isn't just about clinging to scraps. It's about chasing even the faintest spark, even if it burns you. The air tastes like iron. My skin is cracked, my lips bleeding. The ground crunches under my boots, and yet I keep moving, whispering to myself, to the dust, to anyone who might still be listening. I'm still here. We're still here, because hope, fragile, dangerous, reckless, has already taken root again. And no storm, no collapse, no fire on the horizon can erase that. The night is quiet now, too quiet, if I'm honest. No wind, no storms, no raiders creeping in the shadows, just stillness. It feels wrong. Like the earth itself has grown tired of screaming. Maybe it finally lost its voice, same as the rest of us. I sit here by the radio, static humming in the background like an old friend. My canteen is half empty, but I've learned not to count that as a defeat. Half empty still means there's something left, and something left is better than nothing. That's what survival is now. Holding onto slivers, scraps, and fragments. I can't tell you if the worst is behind us, or if the storm that passed was just a warning of something bigger. Maybe the land is trying to reset itself, or maybe it's trying to erase us for good. The scientists used to talk about balance, about tipping points. I think we tipped long ago. The question is whether we're still falling, or if we've hit the ground and just haven't realized it yet. But here's the strange thing. Despite all of it, I don't feel empty. Not tonight, because we're still here. Broken, yes. Starving, thirsty, aching, but breathing. And as long as lungs draw air, as long as hearts beat, there's a chance. However small, however fragile, there's a chance. I've learned not to look too far ahead. Tomorrow is too big, too heavy. Tomorrow is a burden that crushes before it even arrives. So I think smaller now. Just one more sunrise, one more drink of water, one more step forward. And if I can make that step, maybe someone else can too. And if enough of us keep stepping, maybe we'll walk our way out of this graveyard. I don't know what stories the future will tell about us, if there's anyone left to tell them. Maybe they'll say we were stubborn, maybe foolish. Maybe they'll call us ghosts who refuse to vanish. Or maybe there won't be stories at all, just silence. And if silence is what waits at the end of all this, then let me say this now, while I still can. Don't stop. If you're listening, wherever you are, whoever you are, don't stop. Don't stop fighting. Don't stop hoping. Don't stop being human. The world may have burned, the rivers may have dried, the skies may have blackened, but we're still here. And that matters. It has to matter. Maybe one day the rains will return. Maybe green will creep back across this wasteland. Maybe children will laugh again without fear of the sky. I can't promise that day will come, but I can promise you this. If we give up now, it never will. So drink what you can. Share when you're able. Guard your fire, but don't hoard it. The future might just be hiding in the hands of a stranger you don't yet trust. The world isn't ending in a single moment. It's ending in 1,000 tiny cuts, and that means we still have the chance to stitch it back together, piece by fragile piece. I don't know if tomorrow holds salvation or another storm, but tonight I have enough to keep going, enough to hold on, enough to whisper into this static-filled darkness. Stay alive, stay human, because as long as we're breathing, we've got a chance, and maybe, just maybe, that's enough.